out here at the 2023 MCACN show, and this is Sunday, so things are a little quieter here today. Calmed down a little bit, and I'm standing in front of one of the cars we brought out here. It's a 1969 Chevy Camaro ZL1, car number 14. Really a huge deal. These cars are very expensive. We're going to talk to a guy that knew about this car when it was brand new, and was friends with the family and still knows them to this day. So it's pretty special stuff out here at this show. We had this car judged. It got up in the mid 990s for a score. We've been working on this car for probably a year and a half. So it was really a big unveil. We had that unveiled yesterday, and we're going to walk along here, take a look at this. And beautiful Le Mans blue color on this car. Really just a fantastic car. This is obviously a completed restoration for us. And this is really a unique car in that it has a really clean body. It was never tubbed out or altered in any way as a drag car, so that really makes it pretty special. A lot of these cars were all cut up. So this is known as having one of the best bodies of all of the 69 ZL1s. They made 69 of them. There's probably 10 or a dozen really good ones. So the next car we're going to take a look at here is a 69 Trans Am. We've had this car in our shop for a couple of years. It has a really fun story. Jeff and I at the shop drove from Michigan on a Sunday over to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, bought this car. The whole thing went until about 1 o'clock in the morning. And so anyway, here we got the Trans Am. It was judged out at this show. It was also an unveil car, and it won a pick award, and we got a gold on all of these cars, which is what our customers pay us to do. And it's kind of a low option car, but Ram Air 4 4-speed is really the highlight of this car. Pretty unusual that it does not have rally wheels. That was an option. Not a lot of people realize that. Does not have wheel opening moldings, doesn't have drip rail trim molding. Pretty unusual. A lot of original upholstery on this car. It does have a wood wheel and stacked gauges. The wheel would be standard. The gauges, that's a really nice option on a Trans Am. White and blue is the predominant. Blue is the predominant interior color on these, although others were available. I'd say 90+% of them have a blue interior. So really good car, 1 of 54 built, and about as good as it gets in a 69 Trans Am. Off over here, we've got a 68 Ram Air 2 Firebird. This car was highly sought after amongst the Ram Air 2 aficionados. It is a custom ordered windward blue color. Belonged to a gentleman out of Washington State. Eric was his name. He had a friend of his, Joe, that sought this car out and bought it around the year 2000, and subsequently sold it to Eric, who Eric had done a good part of the restoration work on this car. He had the whole thing painted, bought a lot of parts for it, rounded up some really good new old stock pieces. He decided he liked the idea of having this car be in Phil Mitchell's Muscle Car Museum. Ended up selling it then to my customer Phil Mitchell earlier this year. We totally finished this car up. Took a really good car that Eric handed us and really finished it, brought it home, had it judged. It did really well out here. Neat thing about this car is the rally stripe is ultra rare on these cars. The color's really rare. A guy coming back from Vietnam ordered this car in I think Southern or Central California. Got some of the best options you could get. Hood tack, Rally 2's the stripe, deluxe interior, 4-speed console. This car has its original upholstery yet. Even the carpeting is original on this car. Absolutely unbelievable. Amazing car. Certainly one of the best Ram Air 2 Firebirds that exist to this day. Here we've got a red 69 Ram Air 4 Firebird, belongs to Scott Allen. Used long-time ownership as a guy out of New York State that a lot of guys know. Matt Mariacher had this car, didn't want to sell it. He ultimately sold it. Scott brought it to us, and we just did a little bit of cleaning on it. We dry ice blasted the underneath of this car, corrected just a handful of details under the hood, and we had this car over in vintage certification, which is a really neat part of the muscle car show. And this car has probably 75% of its original paint, all the upholstery, totally numbers matching, just an amazing Ram Air 4 Firebird. It'd be really difficult to replace this car. In fact, there's only another one that I know of that's a complete, intact, running and driving Ram Air 4 Firebird that has not been restored. Okay, let's move around here. Excuse me. We're going to take a look at this Chevelle here. This Chevelle also belongs to my customer, Phil Mitchell. A guy named Rick Nelson is pretty famous in the Chevelle restoration world. Did the restoration on this car. He did a wonderful job. This is his last restoration, and he did a beautiful job on this Chevelle. It's an L89, which means it has aluminum heads, a 375 horse 396 with aluminum heads. It is heavily documented. It is the only documented L89 Chevelle for 1970. It makes sense that they didn't make very many of these cars because an LS6 was available in 1970. So for basically the same amount of money, you could have had quite a bit more horsepower and a bigger engine, and that's obviously how most people went in 1970. But this awesome 70 Chevelle is just an amazingly rare piece. All right, we got one more car to take a look at here. This is another 68 Ram Air 2 Firebird. This is one of 3 Ram Air 2 Firebirds that this customer owns. It's a beautiful Vidoro green, black interior. This is a 5,000 original mile car. It was restored by Supercar Specialties Scott Tiemann 25 years ago. And it's just amazing. We did a little bit of fluffing, a little bit of buffing, and we brought it out here just so people could see this awesome Firebird. And that pretty much, we've got 2 more cars we might take a look at later in vintage certification, but other than that, that's basically our 2023 muscle car experience. Out here at 2023 Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals again, we are in vintage certification. We had 2 more cars and a third that we worked on in vintage certification. And vintage certification is a show within the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals where there's a whole group of cars that get very carefully judged that have never been restored. So these are original paint, in most cases, original engines, compartments, and undercarriage and upholstery, totally untouched, or at least as much as possible. And then they judge them and give them awards based on the percentage of originality. So we have here a 72 GTO that has original paint, a top, upholstery, its engine, all this stuff is original to this car. It has had things change and replaced, so it's not going to be the absolute top award, but it is really an amazingly original car. So 455 HO, 4-speed, original paint GTO is a pretty special car. And we're going to turn around and look in the opposite direction here. We have a 1974 Trans Am. That that is yet another Survivor that we have here. It belongs also to our customer, Phil Mitchell. You're looking at original tires, original paint, completely original drivetrain, original exhaust. That is really an amazing car. What we do at our shop is we do dry ice blasting and just deep cleaning. That car came to us, it didn't have original tires, and we found, purchased, and installed original tires and just upgrade it to be more original when we're dealing with one of these Survivor cars. So that's a great example. 74 Trans Am Super Duty, detailed and cleaned at our shop, level 1 restoration, and out here getting a thorough looking over in vintage certification at the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals. All right, we had an amazing thing happen here at MCACN. We met up with Skip, and we're out here with ZL1 number 14, and it turns out Skip knew this car all the way back to York, Pennsylvania when this car was new, and he's got some insight on the original owner and where it lived and that type of thing.
Okay, back in the day, this car sat at the dealership for a year or better, couldn't sell it. At a point, they put a cast iron L78 engine in the car and sold the car. It ran around York for God knows how many years. It was then sold to another guy. If I'm not mistaken, I believe his last name was Gladfeld or something like that. And he had the car till it was purchased by Ed Canine, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So that was, from what you understand, these cars were just so darn expensive they had a hard time selling them.
And especially in York County. Okay. People there are a little on the cheap side.
Not exactly New York City.
Exactly.
Okay. So you know some of the family of the original owner to this day.
The original owner of this car, his name was Steve B. Miller.
Okay.
And I've gotten to know his daughter and her husband quite well.
Wow.
And we just put two and two together in the last year and a half that this was her father and the car.
Yeah. Oh, that's really amazing. And really this is just such a special show where things like that can actually happen. The whole entire car community, muscle car world, really comes together for this, and this is just a fantastic thing that adds to the history of this ZL1 we restored here. Well, thanks a lot, Skip. We appreciate your insight and information.
Not a problem. I thank you.
All right, you got it. All right, that puts a wrap on the 2023 Muscle Car and Corvette National Show. We'd really like to thank the people that put this show on, Bob Ashton, Vicky, Ian. They do such a wonderful job. They bring together just an amazing crew of volunteers. It's just a wonderful show. If you really love muscle cars or car shows or live in the Chicago area, I don't care where you come from, this is a must-see event. I recommend that you make the trip. It's super easy. It's just right down the street from O'Hare Airport, and it's the best of the best. This year we had 3 fresh restorations, 3 Survivor cars, 1 older restoration, and we did really well with those cars. We're really happy with the outcome. All the restored cars got gold awards, and our ZL1 Camaro had a special award. It's kind of the judges' pick for the top Chevy of the show. Our 69 Trans Am was awarded the most outstanding first-time shown Pontiac. The 68 Firebird was given the Edwin Liss Memorial Award. This award goes to a participant that shows passion and enthusiasm for the hobby. And our customer, Phil Mitchell, really is that person. He's just an incredible car collector. He's building a car museum. We work really hard for Phil. He's an amazing guy. So he is very deserving of that award. Also, over in the Survivor area, our 74 Trans Am Super Duty got a Legend Status Award, which is a really good Survivor award. And the 72 GTO got a Legacy Award. So all in all, a really good show. I would like to thank the crew out here at the Muscle Car and Corvette National, Bob, Vicky, Ian, their crew. They do a wonderful job. Thank my customer Phil Mitchell this year for all the wonderful cars he had us bring out here, and I'd like to thank the crew back at the shop. They are truly the best of the best. And thank you for watching this video, and we will see you next year at the 2024 Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals.